Hello and welcome to Tech Latest by Nikkei Asia, where we bring you the freshest updates from the technology sector in Asia. Every episode, one of our reporters from the region will be filling us in on the tech news on their radar, from semiconductors in China to space travel in Japan to startups in Indonesia. From Nikkei Asia's Tokyo headquarters, I'm Alice French. In this episode, I'll be talking to Annie Cheng Ting Fang, our tech correspondent from Taipei, about the unlikely role that the Maldives is playing in getting semiconductors into Russia, and Huawei's new chip plans. Hi Annie, thanks for coming on today.
Hi, I'm very glad to be here.
So there's been a lot to choose from in terms of tech news this week, but I want to start by touching on a fascinating investigation that we ran recently about the role the Maldives might be playing in getting American semiconductors into Russia, despite Ukraine war sanctions. Can you tell us a bit more about the findings of this investigation?
Yes, actually joining me is our special guest, Katey Creel, who traveled to the Maldives, which is renowned as a tropical resort, but it turns out to be a major hub, transferring more than 53 million worth of U.S. chips to Russia after the Ukraine war.
Thanks, Annie and Alice. It's great to be here. As you know, this story about the Maldives grew out of Nikkei's investigation into Russia and the global chip trade. That story revealed China, specifically Hong Kong, as the major source of chip shipments to Russia. But we were surprised to find how many chips were being routed via the Maldives. The country has never been a center of the chip trade, but that seemed to change suddenly after the invasion of Ukraine last year.
Right, and thanks so much for being here today, Katey. As you said, Annie, the sheer value of semiconductors being sent to Russia via the Maldives is pretty outstanding at $53 million. How does this process actually work, Katey, and why is the Maldives a good place to be doing this?
Well, most people probably think of the Maldives as a vacation destination, and indeed, it's a beautiful, beautiful country. But Malé, the capital, is actually dominated by its cargo port, and I was surprised to see just how many shipping and freight handling companies are based there. Talking to freight handling companies, more than one told us that shipping U.S. chips to Russia, even today, would be fairly simple. Basically, just a matter of filling out some paperwork, putting the right company's name on a certain line. So much simpler than we were expecting. And in fact, the US government has taken notice as well. They recently accused one Maldives-based freight forwarder of helping ship airplane parts to Russia against export rules.
Now, back to you, Annie, and sticking with semiconductors, but moving over to China, you also reported on a pretty important chip story this week. Tell us about Huawei's 5G chip plans.
When it comes to China's battle on U.S. export control and China's semiconductor development, we can't forget to bring up Huawei, which lived under Washington's blacklisting for years. So we understand Huawei never wants to give up its chip development because of its chip unit, HiSilicon, actually was China's top chip developer before all these restrictions and was TSMC's number 2 customer and was using cutting-edge chip production tech for its chips just like U.S. tech giant Apple do. But Huawei cannot work with TSMC anymore because of U.S. export control. So it turned its head to China's top contract chip maker, SMIC, to together work to restore 5G mobile chip production. From my supply chain checks, I heard they are having good progress and Huawei's mobile chip could be going into production again by the end of this year. That will be based on 7nm process tech, which is about 2 generations behind what TSMC and Apple have right now, but it's already the most advanced if it's from China's domestic chip maker, SMIC, since SMIC is also blacklisted by the US and have many restrictions to use American technologies. So it's still a major breakthrough.
Right, like you say, it's quite a breakthrough. And what would the significance be for China's tech industry if Huawei is able to start making these chips again so soon?
If Huawei and SMIC successfully restore production of 5G mobile chips on 7nm node, that is viewed as China's major win to alleviate the impact of US export controls. and a big step in China's push to be self-reliant. However, Japan and the Netherlands joined the force to introduce export control on advanced chip-making tools against China. That could still create new challenges for China's expansion plans for these leading-edge chips.
I see. So we'll have to wait and see if these 5G chip plans actually materialize. Thanks so much for giving us that rundown, Annie. Are there any other tech stories that you'd like to recommend this week?
Yes, this week we also have an analysis by Marian and CK to look at why China's young generation is out of jobs with their jobless rate at record high of more than 21%. That underlies a structural problem for China's economy as the country has more educated young people, but there are not enough jobs for them due to declining foreign investments and the country's crackdown on tech and education industry in the past few years. Also, another must-read story is Yasu Ota-san's interview with the CEO, Asuyoshi Koike of Japanese chipmaker Rapidus, which aims to help Japan return to its glory days for chip production. Rapidus is in talks with top US tech companies Google, Apple, Amazon, and Microsoft, hoping to gain orders from them to produce chips for them. Also, it's moving forward its schedule from 2027 to 2025 for a pilot production of cutting-edge 2-nanometer chips in Japan. So you can check out all these stories on our website and have a lovely summertime.
Great. Thank you very much, Annie. It's been great to have you back on, and thanks to Katey as well. Speak to you again soon.
Thank you very much, and bye-bye.
That's all for this episode. You can read more of Annie and Katey's reporting, along with a host of other stories about Asia's tech industry, on Nikkei Asia's website, asia.nikkei.com. And if you like what you hear, why not subscribe to our weekly Tech Asia newsletter, which will be delivered to your inbox every Thursday. There's a link to sign up in the show notes. And check back in next time for more updates on the tech trends that matter.